Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, and we are back for another Sister Wives Season 9 review. I wasn't really moved during this episode, but we're going to do what we do, which is go over what we saw. If there is anything that I happen to leave out, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below so we can talk about it. Kody let us know that the anthropology students were questioning his relationships that he had with his girls, and that this was about 4 months ago that they had this discussion. And because of that, he is thinking. If you don't remember that episode, you had Antoinette and I believe his name was Richard, who were students who were watching the Brown family and observing them. And one of the things that they noticed is that Kody had a very different interaction with his boys versus his girls, to the point that the female student said that she recognized that there was a major difference in the way that he connected with his girls versus his boys. Even in the clip, you see Kody saying that my wives will say, hey, why aren't you connecting with my daughters? Understand that when he's saying my wives say, I don't really feel like he's talking about his wives. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he's more so talking about Christine, because he was doing everything with the Birds kids. He overcompensated when it came to the Birds kids to make sure that they felt included and a part of the family. And as far as Janelle is concerned, she was too busy giving praises to Kody for doing the bare minimum, because he was a much better father than what she had. So she doesn't have much to compare it to. Meri, I don't really count Meri with Leon, because that was more one-on-one time when he was in that household. So Meri doesn't seem to have the same complaints. But we also know, and I'm not trying to be offensive, that Leon does not identify as either. So I don't want to be disrespectful in that, but I'm just including Leon in the purposes for what was going on back then. He says he agrees that he does not have the greatest connection with some of his children, with his daughters, and he doesn't know why. But Antoinette told him why in the clip, because what she said is she notices that he connects with his boys through physical activity. So Kody's involvement, in my opinion, did not really involve an emotional connection. And to me, that is where he struggles. Robin says when Antoinette said, look, it seems like you struggle with your connection with your daughters, that it hit Kody right between his eyes. And that Robin told him that if you connect better with your daughters who are 12 and 13, then that connection will hold better when they go to college. Now, you all tell me how you guys feel about it. I don't really know what type of logic that is, because to me, it would have been better for him to form a connection early on. Okay. Most of my fondest memories when I think about my father from when I was a child, I can remember certain things very vividly in terms of him. I'll agree that when I went to high school, that I wasn't around him as much, and I did hang out with my friends more and things of that nature. And I'll agree that even when I went to college, there was kind of a little bit of shift in our dynamic then as well. But there was a point in my adulthood when I had my child, especially, that I gained a greater respect for how my father was in my life during the various transitions in my life. Because at every point when I look back at my life as a child, he was there. Even after my parents split and they were living in different states, he was there. Even when he was overseas serving our country, he was there as much as he could be. So I come to this conclusion because unlike Kody, my father was present. Kody seems to be right here in this cul-de-sac, but still manages to not be present. And he's not present because he'll be in the room, but he's not with his kids. Just because we're in the same household doesn't mean that you're parenting me. Unfortunately, I've seen various instances where children don't have dynamics with their parents, which is one of the reasons why I know I'm not a perfect parent. I'm not going to sit here and try to say it, but I purposely map out time for myself and my child so that I can hear him. And I feel like that's not something that Kody did with a lot of his kids, especially the girls. He tells us that he's been thinking about ways to show a little more effort. So now, 4 months later, he makes this announcement. I'm listening to this whole thing and I'm like, okay, so it took you 4 whole months to figure out a way to connect with your girls. And it just so happens to be that this 4-month time frame coincides with your daughter's birthday. It doesn't have anything to do with what was said by the anthropology students, in my opinion. This has to do with Kody trying to clean up his image. And Kody taking the time, because he said it on camera, that he was going to take Isabel to the beach, that he was going to make sure that he fulfilled that promise, since we saw him say it on camera. He tells us that he has 4 girls who are ages 12, 11, 10, and 13. So he figured, why not do something fun with him? So for Isabel's birthday, she asked Kody if they could go to the beach. So we find out they're going to go to California. They're going to be staying at a beach house. Isabel, we're told, loves her siblings so much that she has invited Gwen, Savannah, Aurora, and Brianna to go as well. You know, the kids, to our understanding, we've been constantly told that the children excluded the other kids from the family, that her kids weren't included, and this happened for years. But here we have yet another instance where her children are being included, because Robin likes to tell us, and even Kody, that Robin's kids were left out of things. But if that was the case, why would Isabel want to invite Brianna and Aurora and Savannah? She could have just invited Savannah and Brianna. Not Savannah and Brianna, Savannah and Gwen. Or she could have just wanted to go with Gwen. So you try to make it seem like you're not included and your kids aren't included, but we see so many instances where they are. So the girls are extremely excited that they're going to be able to go on this trip. Christine says that Isabel is a kind, sweet kid who just wants everyone around her to be happy. Sounds a lot like her mother. And I feel like at her core, this is still who Isabel is, which is why Isabel struggled to really explain how she felt when her father let her down in future seasons with not being there for her during her surgery. You hear Isabel say, "Thank you, Dad," and they all give him a hug. Isabel says sometimes they don't get to see their father a lot. So this will allow them a chance to bond with him. And I'm like, okay, it's so unfair for them to have to live like this. This is the part of their belief that I struggle with. This is the part that I even struggle with when it comes to multiple children at all, okay? Because how fair is it for you to keep having so many children that you don't have time to spend with those children? I just feel like you're doing a disservice to your kids. I'm not knocking it. I come from a family with a significant, I have a lot of aunts, uncles, cousins, all of that stuff. But I am grateful that when it got to my parents, they kind of drastically dropped that number. And I, unintentionally, it wasn't my intentions, I wanted more kids. But at this point, I feel like my child is 17. Do I want to start all over again? No, okay, TMI, let me go back. You get what I'm saying. We hear the kids say that they don't have to worry about workouts or meetings or anything. And Savannah says she's just looking forward to have her dad all to herself. It makes me wonder what it was like for Savannah once Maddie left, because Savannah is the only girl in the house. And as Kody even admitted, he connects more with his boys. So we see Janelle talking about how Savannah is no longer the little baby, how Savannah is coming into her own personality. She says that she trusts Kody, but there are things that she naturally worries about. Kody feels like he's not going to have any problems, like the parents have nothing to worry about. And one of the great things is he's not going to have to worry about jealousy while on this trip. Kody says this often. So often that he makes it seem like he's always being nagged about what's going on in those terms, because he keeps comparing his wives to his daughters, and I didn't like it. He says that his daughters won't worry about who's talking who he's talking to the most or who he's giving affection to, but his wives would have a problem with that. And I'm like, okay, Kody is such a jerk. They have not even left yet, and Gwen and Savannah are having a disagreement about where they're going to sit. Savannah gets car sick, so she does not want to sit in the middle. Can somebody tell me, this is off topic, can somebody tell me whether or not being in the middle affects car sickness? Because I don't understand, and this is coming from someone who hasn't experienced it. I don't understand what the difference is between sitting in the middle seat where you can see out the window from the sides by the door. What's the difference? And I ask that because I had this cousin, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm going on a lot of tangent today. I had this cousin that whenever we did any type of distance driving, she always said that she got car sick. And as a result, I always got stuck in the middle because she got car sick. And the only time she talked about being car sick was when it was time for her to get in the middle. I'm a little triggered. Y'all tell me if it's a thing. I really want to know. So they were supposed to leave at 10, but as usual, they're struggling with time, and Kody is struggling with even packing the car because they have so many things. As he's stressed out packing, you have Robin telling him, you have to remember to do that thing when they start crying and just say, honey, I'm so sorry. I want the bird to shut up, because Kody needs to be Kody. Here's the thing. If you think about it, Kody's been a parent longer than Robin has, because at this point, we know Logan is in his early 20s, I think. So he's been a parent for at least 20 years. Even though he's a piss poor parent at times, I don't think he needed instruction as to how to deal with his daughters when they're crying. If he needed that type of guidance, then it was worse than what we thought. So Janelle talks about what a hard time it is for the girls and all the different things that they go through and how important it is for them to have healthy daddy-daughter relationships so they can judge different, guys and compare. And I can see where she's going with that. But the good news is, ladies and gentlemen out there, whether or not you have the same sex, opposite, whatever, whether or not you have that in your life, it does not determine whether or not your mate is going to be ideal or a role model. Because sometimes if you experience bad, then you go for the complete opposite. So if it happened to be that these kids did not get the role model, which in my opinion they didn't, in their father, based on how we've seen him treat some of his wives, the good news is they know what they don't want from observing their father. So Robin adds, it's also so that they can get love from him rather than from other guys. Robin then reminds the girls to make sure that they get sunscreen, like dry off in the shade for a little bit and then put on some sunscreen and then put on some sunscreen some more. And Kody is like, it's just a bunch of micromanaging wives. Listen, I remember sunscreen. He says all that, but the only person that's out there telling him all these things is Robin. So why are all the wives being lumped into that when it's just Robin out there giving him all these tips? It wasn't the wives that were saying it. It was the overprotective bird. He says he won't screw it up. Everything's going to be fine. The moms are scared because he's not around them. And I'm just like, why would they be so worried about it unless he wasn't actively involved? I get it. It's natural if you're a parent and your child is going to be gone for a certain amount of time that you may have concerns, but not to the extent where you're bombarding people with their concerns. These aren't little babies. These are girls that can speak up for themselves should something arise. And after all, they are with their father, right, Robin? The protector, the one that loves them so much, as you later try to convince us. They arrive at Peggy Sue's Diner, a place where Kody always wanted to go, where we see the kids enjoy good food and have milkshakes. The bird says there is no doubt or wavering when you ask Kody if he loves his children. As she's talking, I cannot help but notice how disconnected Meri is. Why is she even sitting on the couch? Because she looks like she's being slowly tortured. I mean, she really looks like, why am I here? And I can understand that too, because it was a moment about kids that weren't hers. And we didn't even see her with all the packing and stuff. So, okay, yeah, why was Meri there? Robin says his whole heart and he loves them with his whole heart, and he's very passionate, and he absolutely 100% loves his children. Are you trying to convince us, or are you trying to convince yourself? Because you can say all you want to say about how he feels. Actions speak louder than words. Kody loves them as long as they're doing and saying what he desires for them to. She says he takes being a dad pretty seriously, and he does the best that he can and that he knows how to do. And that's not an excuse for the areas where he's lacking. As I said earlier, you have people who did not have great fathers, and they've done an awesome job despite not having that with becoming great fathers, because they did the work within themselves to figure out, how to navigate. So I just hate the fact that she always gives him an out. You don't need to be his public defender all the time, especially when we see it for what it is. Janelle says they, along with Kody, get a lot of criticism and stuff for the amount of children that they have, but they have 5 adults and 17 children. So is that really a lot of children? No, maybe not. I look at it that no matter what you do, though, when you have larger families like that, at some point, various kids will feel excluded, even if it's something that you're not trying to do intentionally, but I could be wrong. Christine said that 17 children for 4 wives is pretty small in the polygamous community. We then see the little girls arrive to Newport Beach after driving for 5 hours and eating for 2. So they've been on the road for 7 hours. They go shopping with Kody at the local grocery store, and it is a struggle. As I'm watching him, he did not think it out. Gwen says that the moms know how to go shopping, but their dad doesn't. All the ladies feel like they got way too much food and that their father doesn't know how to keep track of it. Kody says he feels like cooking and having fun with the girls. And I was like, okay, that food is going to be trash, because we've seen Kody cook and we know that he always burns things. You butcher a steak. You really know how to butcher a steak, Kody Brown. So he's looking forward to just having several days with the girls. He continues to let us know that he's not going to have to worry about the relationship politics, because all his daughters love him, and they're not going to have to worry about whether someone is getting more attention than others. They're not going to worry about it, but they are going to pay attention to your interactions, because over the years, we've seen how now they've spoken out about how Kody wasn't there for certain things. And not just Kody, because McKelty recently even said that there were times where she feels like both of her parents weren't there. And I'm sure that's the case, as I said, when you have so many kids. I'm a little confused because they're in the kitchen touring the house, and it looks like it's dark outside, but maybe that kitchen was connected to the garage. I don't know. But we see Kody said, let's go to the beach. They run outside, and it is still bright and beautiful out, and they stand in the water, and Kody does not feel like the shy girls or the soft-spoken girls will be lost in this trip. He's looking there, and he's proud of himself because he feels like he's going to have a really great time with the girls. So back in Vegas, this, what to me was the best part of the whole episode. We see Madison, who was supposed to be getting baptized in the LDS Church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stopped practicing polygamy over 100 years ago, is what we're told by Janelle. Madison wants to be baptized in the LDS Church, but is being told no because she is outside of their faith. They don't like the fact that she still associates with her parents, but we'll get into it. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be a part of any church that did that to me. But Maddie meets up with Meri and Robin to tell them that she can't get baptized. Robin is confused. Maddie says that the mission president called her and let her know that they basically want her to reconsider once the family isn't so public. And you just hear Meri keep saying, wow, wow, wow. Maddie says it's because she won't disassociate with her family publicly or publicly disown them, and that the Mormon church just doesn't want to be bothered with it because they feel that it's too controversial for them, and that they hope that she'll still come there and that she's not bitter. I'm going to be real transparent with you all. And when I say this, I need you guys who are listening to please understand my heart, okay? I did not get my first bout of racism until I came into contact with someone who was Mormon. I heard the stories, I saw certain things, but growing up in my family, that wasn't something that was majorly put on the forefront. I'll be honest, we didn't even really discuss racism because that wasn't something that they had to deal with growing up. They didn't face certain things until they came to the United States, right? So with that being said, it was not racism from my friends, but it was by the adults that was connected to my friend. Let me be clear. I am not condemning people who choose to follow the Mormon faith. There's a lot about it that I do not understand because, as I've said multiple times, one of the things that I don't like to do is label myself as anything, but if I were to, the closest thing that I would be labeled to is a Christian, right? But I take from various religions because I feel like no one religion, no one belief has it all right. After all, we're dealing with man here, and man has a way to narrate things to their convenience, right? There is good and there is bad in all, okay? But for over 100+ years, the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints has taught that people of my skin color are inferior and cursed by God. So the young lady that was coming to this home, who they thought was T, because that's what everybody used to call me back then, T. Some people still call me T. They didn't know that T was a brown girl from a West Indian family. So I went into the Mormon household, and their reaction taught me something that day. So when I heard Maddie saying how she felt in that moment, and you could see that she was saddened by it, I said, I'm going to do that. Them telling Maddie not to be bitter about the experience, them telling Maddie that they hope that she still comes to a church that just basically hurt her and told her that she couldn't become a part of their faith because of something that she has no control in, which is her parents and her family, is just downright cruel. And me being honest, that's one of the many things that turns me off about a lot of religious practices, because I just don't agree with some of the things that people try to say. And I'm not going to leave it there. I'll go even a step further. I really firmly believe that love is love. So I'm not going to condemn someone for the choices they make in that regard. That is my belief. But you gotta watch how you treat others, especially when it comes to something like that. But let me continue. Robin tells her she's so sorry. She'd be angry if she was Maddie. Maddie still can't wrap her mind around the fact that they aren't allowing her to join the church just because of what her parents have chosen. Meri said she would be angry too. Maddie says at this point, she doesn't really know how to feel, but she knows that she doesn't want to denounce her family. She says, even though they say they'll allow her to keep attending, she can't be baptized, and she just doesn't understand that. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, so she's good enough to sit in your seats. She's good enough to probably take money from, but she's not good enough to be baptized in the faith that she says that she believes. All these denominations and organizations really have it wrong. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Imagine how much better the world would be if we really led from a love aspect. and stop judging each other so harshly. But I'll go back. Maddie brings up a good point, and she says Jesus wouldn't be doing the very thing that they're doing. She says those men of God shouldn't behave like that. And she's right. She said from day one, she's told them that she did not endorse her parents' lifestyle, but she loves them. And that she would continue to support and love her family because they're her family. And it makes her happy to be around her family. And in her questioning phase, when she told them that, this second time around, she said they did not like that. Maddie says she has faith, but her beliefs don't fit the religion of the Mormon church. And that's fine. And that also is how you lose people. Janelle says she's shocked because when she was in the church, they welcomed everyone. And I don't understand why Janelle's shocked, because we've been told time and time again that they aren't accepted. Like, that's what Kody, that's what Meri, that's what Christine told us, which is one of the reasons why when they first talked about having the kids go to a church, Christine was so bothered by it. Anyways, back to Newport Beach. It's morning, they eat breakfast, they head to a small amusement park where Kody learns a lot about his girls. Robin says Aurora is adventurous and fun and loud enough for anything scary, wild, or that takes her breath away. And as she's talking about all these features of Aurora, I'm like, so what the hell happened to Aurora? Because she's now the polar opposite. What did they do to that child? Because now she's docile and timid and anxiety driven and nervous about everything, even change. We saw how panicked she got when she found out that they were going to have to move from the one house in Flagstaff to another house in Flagstaff, but she's supposed to be all these things. What happened to Aurora? Robin says Brianna is more shy, but when you get her to open up, she's funny. Savannah and Gwen don't like some of the rides. If Kody was around them, he may have known that. I wonder if this is his first time taking them to a theme park, because Savannah is 10 and Gwen is 13. So I would think he would know this about his children. But, you know, you find out different things with different experiences. So I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway there. Kody says as he's seeing that Gwen and Savannah don't want to go on a lot of the rides, he's worried that they'll be bored or that they'll feel left out because they don't want to ride rides. And I'm like, okay, so just do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. If they don't want to ride certain rides, go to the ones that they want to ride. Do like an in-between thing where you get this and you get that and you move accordingly. Savannah says, I hate big rides. The first big ride, I screamed and I cried, and I'm not going to do another big one. Kody says he has to respect their boundaries even though he wants to push them. And that truly is key. They're all things that we would love for our children to do that they don't do. And we may have accepted it. We may have told them to try it one time, like food. And that may be that. But he says that he's learning. Christine says that Gwen was really looking forward to dad and sister time, and she's adventurous depending on the day. If she's in a great mood, then she'll be easy and have fun. But if she's not, it's not going to be an easy thing. I think that's with a lot of kids. But we also know, as I've said before, that Gwen is on the spectrum. So there might have been other things coming into play there. Like maybe it was just too much sensory thing. It could have been anything why she didn't want to go on the ride. So back in Vegas. We're back in Vegas. Janelle said over the years she's realized that she's ignored her relationship with Meri. When they were younger, they made sure that they were a team. And whatever they needed to be for the kids, they were. But the kids are now older, and they've since the tension that lies beneath the surface. She's saying the kids have. It takes 4 months for Meri to finally come over to Janelle and let her know whether or not she'd be willing to do therapy with her. I don't understand why it took so long for Meri to answer that question. I get that you want time to think about it. I get that you want to make sure that Janelle, as we were told in the other episode, is honest and doesn't back down and all these other things. But it took her 4 months to decide that. So she walks in Janelle's house with a smile. She sits down, tells her she's been thinking a lot and been praying about it, and she has decided that she wants to move forward with it, but she doesn't know how it's going to happen. And you see Janelle say, "That's great." And Janelle starts crying, saying that she's glad. She's so glad that she decided that she wants to do this with her, because she really liked them to be in a better place, and she really would like for them to have peace. And she lets us know that it caught her by surprise. A lot of the underlying things with those two, I still believe, had to do with Janelle and Meri's dynamic and how she married Meri's husband. Meri says, "We've known each other before I even knew Kody. We've known each other for over half of our lives, so we need to make it work." And as they're talking, I'm like, this is sad, because I don't know, because I haven't watched it. I told y'all I kind of checked out at a certain point and then checked back in as far as this series is concerned. But I know that the catfish came along at some point shortly after all of this. So did they even get to begin to work on it? Because as we can see, they don't even associate with each other now. So I think the answer is no. They hug. It's a genuine hug. Janelle said that her shell was cracked in that moment with Meri, and that she couldn't believe that she found herself wanting to hug her, because it's very rare for her to want to hug Meri. We then see them hug, and Meri begins to cry, and Meri tells her, "I love you, Janelle." And you hear Janelle say, "Meri, I love you too." There was obviously a major void there. There was obviously pain and hurt when it came to their dynamic. And that embrace really did seem genuine. And you could really see the hurt and the pain in that exchange. And knowing all of this and how everything's transpired with the catfish, I feel like they both cheated themselves, because they took so long to get to the issue that by the time they both were willing to deal with it, the damage was done, and Meri was already 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. So they hug and say they'll schedule soon. We then see Meri at her house saying that the emotions of Janelle showed to her that this is something that Janelle really wants to do. And you have Janelle in her home saying that she's relieved that she finally opened the door and that they've had the conversation. And at this point, she feels like it's something that they both want. And that alone, the fact that they're both with their doors open and they're both willing, is progress. Back to California. The girls and Kody, head to the beach where they're supposed to be boogie boarding, where you see Robin saying that she's a little disappointed because she was looking forward to him having a heart-to-heart conversation with the girls, but it just seems like all they're doing is they're having a party. If he didn't do it at home, why would she think that he would do it on his own while he's away? This is about having fun. This is about Isabel's birthday. She don't want to have a heart-to-heart moment with her dad. He can do it when he gets back or when he's driving home. Kody once again compares his daughters to his wives. As I said, I wish he stopped because there's no comparison. He says the daughters want to boss each other around when they're with him, where the wives want to boss him around. We see the ladies having fun. Kody brought the boards, but he forgot some of the key things like the ankle strap and the wax and all that other stuff that would allow them to be able to go surfing, so they weren't able to. But they did enjoy the beach. As they leave a beach, they see a sign that says sharks have been sighted, and the girls are just extremely excited that they were in the water at the possible same time as a shark. Especially Gwen. I said, you gotta love it. That would be the last thing I was like, oh, goody, goody, I was in the water. No. I'd be freaking out. Kody says all 17 of his kids are great people. They'll choose to limit how many they have when the time is right for them. They're limited at this point to what Robin chooses to do but she does not like him to talk about reproduction. So he's going to leave it at that. And I said, okay, so she doesn't like him to talk about reproduction. Then I don't want to see announcements about her pregnancy, or I don't want to watch her give birth, because that's a part of her reproduction. It may sound cold, but I'm so tired of the way they pick and choose when they want to act like something is so personal and so private. For multiple seasons, we witnessed them ask about Meri's infertility issues and talk about surrogacy and talk about all these things associated with Meri's reproduction. We can talk about Meri's, but we can't talk about the birds. See? It's not right. Kody, we then see with the girls, rides a mechanical shark at the boardwalk. The kids love it. You see him try to hold on for a while. He says he got tired and he jumped off, but the girls feel like he was thrown off. They go out to eat. Kody tries to sound like a surfer, doing what parents do sometimes, which is embarrass their kids. We see him get her a birthday cake. They have a good time. Kody now says this trip hasn't been about my girls and I bonding, because what I've realized is we already were bonded. No, you weren't. 4 days with your girls out of 365, you got a lot more to do. Even though at the beginning of the episode, he told us that the trip was about a birthday and the bonding. Make up your mind. He says Aspen, McKelty, Madison, and Leon were distant from him in high school. And he's hoping that this trip helps that to not happen with the girls. And I'm like, okay, they were distant with you in high school, which is also around the time that Robin came into the family. I'm just stating the obvious. There was multiple reasons why they got distant. It wasn't that they didn't want to be around you. It's that you didn't do your part as a dad, adjusting to their new personalities and their maturity. He says no matter what anyone else thinks, including the moms, he's in touch with his girls. He was looking to see what was wrong, and he found a lot of what was right. I'll buy it. Y'all tell me what you think. Do you guys think that this trip alone was enough? Because maybe I'm being too critical. Just maybe. I don't know. I don't show a lot of mercy when it comes to parenting, because whatever you are, man, woman, non-binary, whatever you are, if you become a parent, it is your job to parent. It is your job to spend time with your kids. It is your job to find out who they are and cultivate things in them and allow them to explore and to just be there for them. Kody doesn't get a cookie for spending time with his kids. That's what he's supposed to do. You have 4 wives, a show that you're getting paid all this money from. I don't even think Kody at this point had a real job. Why can't you make time for your kids? It comes across as he didn't really want to spend time with them. But that's my opinion. You all let me know yours. If you haven't done so already, please like the video. It helps the channel. I am on the road to 2,000. I'm going to keep saying 2,000. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's my next goal. So I'm going to be honest. I'm on the road to 2,000. And every like, every comment, every share helps. And of course, every subscription. Until next time.